Hello, and welcome to Networking Unleashed, Building Profitable Connections. Welcome. I'm your host, Michael Forman, and you're listening to the podcast where networking is more than just an awkward handshake and bad coffee. It's an art and talent. Yep, even if you're the person hiding in a corner at every event pretending to check emails, this is for you. Networking isn't just a nice skill to have, it's a game changer. When you get good at it, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. More connections, more opportunities, more profits. It's like unlocking a cheat code the life of the party, or let me just stay in the text type, let me just stay home and text type. We've got something for you. Stick around and let's turn those awkward small talk moments. Her name is Erika, and I will say here, let me just say, Erika is a cost reduction expert dedicated to helping businesses save on expenses and maximize their bottom line. A born entrepreneur, she launched her career at just 21 by developing a patent in the cosmetic industry, later building a successful marketing agency. Now, Erica combines her expertise in innovation and strategy to deliver a real value to her clients. Hi, Erica. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Michael?
Not so bad. So, did I do okay with your introduction, or you want to add a little bit?
Absolutely. The only thing that I would add is that it's been a whirlwind, and especially for young people having to really adapt to a lot of different changes during the pandemic. But you got my bio pretty good.
All right. And it's funny that you mentioned the pandemic because that was really the beginning of networking and going back to networking the way we used to do it 100 years ago. But, it's the face to face networking that we're missing. But how would you approach building a genuine connection?
Okay, so Michael, this is a loaded question, and I want to feed off of in person as well as online. So, what I typically try to do is first and foremost, try to pick a target audience when you're networking. Because if you're on LinkedIn and you're trying to connect with people, it's going to be a lot easier to connect with people in a niche versus just having a broad topic. So I'd say that's the first and the biggest one that I found to be helpful when trying to make connections with people before even becoming genuine. The second piece to that is go in on LinkedIn and start connecting and commenting on people's posts. So you'll see a lot of people they're liking, but they're not commenting. So when you start to create a comment and you're the first one to create a comment, you create this recall and recognition in people's heads that, hey, I know, let's go check out so and so, let's look at their profile, let's see what they do. Then the second piece is what I've done to create that genuine connection is I don't go spamming people. I don't go right into their messages and say, "Hey, here's what I do." I will look at their posts and try to create something genuine out of it. Like, "Hey, I really like this that you posted about today." So someone posted about the trades and how parents and schools need to get on board with promoting it. And it's, university is not always for everybody. And you in the trades, it's another way or another angle to get into the workforce if you don't have that intellectual ability to sit and focus and read a textbook from beginning to end. Went into the person's DM and I said, "Hey, I really like this post." And now we're having a conversation. So you find things that you're building on to get into their direct messages. Then I would also say, and that's just a very broad overview of what you can do on LinkedIn. Now, the other piece and the other genuine way I try to stay connected and when I go to events and in person events is I like to look at who, first and foremost, who's going to this event. There's been many times for somebody like myself that has gone to women events where they're MLMs, they're real estate agents. Great, that's not my target audience. So what I do is I always look to see who's going, who potentially is going, what kind of an event it's going to be, and I'll actually reach out to them on LinkedIn and say, "Hey, I'm going to be at this event. Love to meet you in person." That helps get the ball rolling because you're not going to be able to meet everyone all at once. You want to be able to connect with, let's say, 10 to 15 people if it's a 2 hour window. And if you're lucky, that those 10 to 15. So from there, when I get into that networking event, I like to let them do the talking to see if I'm also a fit. And then you try to find what we call distinctive value. So try to find something within that networking event that they like, or it's a hobby or something outside of business that you can bring back in that creates that genuine connection.
That what you're saying resonates so much because what you're saying is exactly what I promote. Right? So when I go up and I meet a person, I think of the word form, FORM. It's family, occupation, recreation, and a message, anything to get onto the same level as them. So what you're saying truly comes in very handy when you're just walking up to a table. You don't start talking, you listen. And you listen for the conversation to see whether or not it's a good fit for you. And if it is, that's great. If not, then you very politely back out and move on. But more importantly, what you said about going and seeing the type of people that attend this event is so important because otherwise you're wasting your time. And your time is so valuable that you can't really do that much. So when you said you're collecting 10 to 15 business cards, that is perfect. I say in a 3 hour event, 3 to 4 hour event, you collect 15 to 20 business cards. And that's it. I used to collect a shoebox full of business cards and say, oh, look how great I did, until I realized I want to build a relationship more so than just a client. So, can you share a specific example of how a strategic networking relationship significantly impacted your business?
Okay, I would say connecting sometimes with somebody that's not a direct client, but could help you in so many other ways. And to me, that's also a strategic partner. So I'll give you an example. I connected with this guy named Jonathan. He was actually one of the first people that got me into the construction space. What makes him strategic and how we help each other out is every single week we have a 15-minute call. Hey, how's it going? Who can I refer you to? You know, what's happening here, what's happening there. So we were having a call yesterday and he goes, I was at this firm out in Stony Creek and they're looking for grants. I said, hold on. I think I have somebody that can help you. And right this morning, I made an introduction to a person that can help with, it's called the Shred program here in Canada, which helps manufacturing people that are in the scientific space get grants. So I would also encourage people to look at strategic partners as, hey, they could be direct clients, but he's just one of the examples where, because we're always top of mind of each other, I'm always saying, hey, you know what? Let's go talk to Jonathan. Let's go talk to this person. Otherwise, they're going to forget who you are if you don't follow up. And it's not just following up after a networking event saying, great to meet you, but does that CPA, does that marketer, does whoever it is that they do come to mind when you're also talking to other people?
That's great, but it's great for one or two people. But if you have five or six or 10 strategic partners, I'm using that term loosely, how do you stay in contact with them?
Quarterly events, I also do posts about them. It's all about connection, and it could happen in different ways. It's sending a text message, it's sending an introduction, it's a Christmas card, a follow-up card on their birthday. It's also what you mentioned earlier, and your acronym. What about that distinctive value can you relate back to them? So if I call someone, and you know what, maybe you might not have a connection in 6 months from now, but they are a swimmer, send them something about swimming, or a competition that's going on.
That's great. That's wonderful advice, and everybody listening should really pay attention. But now let's switch it around a little bit. People usually have a fear of networking, of getting involved. Now, what would you say is the biggest fear that you can think of, and how would you overcome it?
Okay, so when I first started networking, my biggest fear was that I was too young, because a lot of these networking events that I go to, I'm one of the youngest people in the room. And some advice that was given to me, especially if you're an introvert, contact the director or the person that's hosting and say, hey, listen, I'm a little shy. This is what I do. Who are some of the people that I can get in contact with at this event that you think could be a good fit for me to meet? This way, that person, when you get to the event, will direct you to that person. You can have a conversation, and then sometimes other people will join in. And by the time you know it, the networking event is already over. You've made so many connections.
Right. That's so true. With doing all of this, everybody is bound to make a mistake. And so, what's a common mistake that you have seen made or you've made personally, and how'd you overcome it?
Talking too much. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Let them do the talking and figure out if they're the right fit for you. Because sometimes not everyone's going to want what I came from in the space before. Not everyone wants to talk to a marketer. Not everyone wants to talk to a cost reduction expert. Let them do the talking, see what they're looking for, because it goes also back to your strategic partners. If they might not be a fit for you, they could be a good fit for somebody else. And at least you can say, hey, after the event, you know what? I'm not a good fit for you, but you know what? I know somebody that can do this. Let me get you in contact. So it's kind of like a first date. Just ask the questions, or like a sales call, just ask the questions, let them answer, then go into what you're trying to achieve.
That was great. It's great advice. And I'm sure that everybody listening has gone through something like that, and that's a great way to overcome it. Okay, give me your top three strategies for ensuring networking interaction that leads to actionable results.
Okay, so first and foremost, yes, give them their business card, but make sure that every business card that you're getting, you're following up with them within 24 hours, within 3 months. Like, make sure you have almost like a schedule. Because if you don't keep up with them, they don't keep up with you, that card goes right into the garbage. That's something I would say, the first thing that is actionable. Second thing that I would say is, don't just go to one networking event a month. Try three or four, see what you like. Go to different industries, see what other people are doing. And I would also say it doesn't have to be a BNI meeting. Before this call, I got someone that messaged me to go to a museum out in Kleinberg, where I am. Look at different types of networking, look at galas, look to see what's online. Just get yourself out there, and also make a schedule and say, okay, if I'm going to these 5 events, how many people, like you said earlier, how many people do you want to connect with each hour? And what do you want to get out of it? And I think when you start putting together your CRM and putting tasks, hey, follow up with this person, reconnect with this person, you're on the path to success. And then the third thing that I want to also say is sometimes, and the third piece of this is some people you got to let go. Networking is like a needle in the haystack. To find good strategic partners is not easy. And it takes time to build. And some people you got to let go. So another piece of advice someone gave to me is you're going to give a referral. Let's say I give a referral today. You're going to do one next week, maybe one from a month from now, and then let's say 2 months from now. So you're always staying top of mind. But if that person cannot give you one referral back, they're going into the yellow zone. Like, proceed with caution. I just gave you 4 leads, and not only did you not say thank you, but also it's a two-way street here.
That's very good. Now, what do you do with that business card? Flip it over, write down the date of the event, the name of the event, and something you spoke about. So that when in 2 weeks, when you look at that business card, you remember, it jogs your memory. Oh, you know what? I talked about that with him, and we can talk even further. So that's one. As putting the it on your calendar, that is so important because one thing I profess is for you to get out there and just start going. Just listen, you're going to be horrible at it. The first one's going to be a mess. Don't go, then go to a second one and a third one. Put it on your calendar for every other week, every 3 weeks, doesn't matter, but put it on the calendar. Okay, so those are very important strategies, and that's just a little help. Now, your I always put a lot of emphasis on the follow up. Okay. What type of follow up do you have when you meet somebody? Let's say that evening, what would your follow up strategy be for that person?
The first thing that I do is I go on LinkedIn and I look to see if they're active. If they're active, I go and follow them and I connect. The first thing. Second thing that I do is I will send an email just to say, hey, thank you for connecting, or I'll send them a message on LinkedIn. And then, depending on if I haven't got anything back, then I pick up the phone and call.
Okay. So, my secret sauce, so to speak, with the follow up, because I feel that the follow up is probably either close to just meeting the person or even more important. So when you get back from the event, either your office or home, you send that email and say, thank you for your time, right? Hey, Erica, this is Mike. I met you tonight. Wonderful time. Thank you for your time, Michael. That's it. And just leave it as that. The next morning, the very next morning, you write a handwritten thank you note. You write almost the same thing. Hi, Erica. This is Mike. I met you on such and such date, such and such an event. We spoke about your husband, son, brother, whatever, Michael. Put your business card in it and send it to him. Now, what does that do? Could you imagine sitting down and receiving that thank you note? Nobody does that, except for the people, of course, that I coach. But nobody does that. So they picked up that thank you note. So if that doesn't prompt them to send an email, almost nothing will. But a thank you note, you write them another email. Hey, Erica, this is Michael. I met you on such and the week is open. Do one of those days work for you? And sign it and send it. Okay. So each time I'm increasing the probability of a response. You have to practice. And the more you practice, the better you get. The better you get, the more you will enjoy it. So, what are some common challenges that business professionals face and how can they overcome them?
Okay, I just want to dive into this question at networking or just in general.
Networking.
Okay, so I would say one of my common challenges or things that I had to learn is when to cut people off, and even on a Zoom call. So, what I always do is I always say now, hey, I have a hard stop at 3 o'clock. I have a hard stop at 4:15. Or, I've also set an agenda so that if I'm having this virtual coffee and let's say they go into a straight pitch and, they're not building a relationship whatsoever, I set that agenda. And then if I think it's going out of hand, I end it as well and say, hey, I forgot I had this meeting at 3 o'clock. That would be one thing. Second thing that I also find it's hard for business professionals, including myself, is let's say you're networking on LinkedIn. So it's kind of hard to see right now, but on my piece of paper here, I have for today that I need to do 20 comments, I need to follow 20 followers, connect to 25 new people, and send 15 messages. Having that consistency every single day, especially when you have meeting after meeting or you got this networking event and so many other things, it is hard to stay consistent. But I would also say that that can be challenging for business professionals sometimes. But when you are consistent and when you put that goal in and you say, hey, I'm going to do this, you're doing the time for the crime that you wanted to get out and you got it.
Good. Very good. Very good. Okay. Last two questions. What's your favorite marketing tactic?
My favorite marketing tactic. So, coming from the marketing world, this is a
Yeah.
tough question to answer because they all work in unison sometimes, and you have to be doing different things to create that recall and recognition. But my favorite marketing tactic has to be organic content. When you're putting out a lot of pieces of content, and let's say you're shy, or you're not good at the networking piece, this is also networking because you're building trust and creating relationships, and you're doing it through pieces of content. So if you're consistent with it, you're going to gain traction, you're going to gain followers, you're going to understand also what works, what doesn't work. And people are going to come into your funnel and say, hey, you know what? I'd love to sit down and chat. Because of the reach that you're going to get versus the 10 to 20 people that you have intimately at a networking event, it's also another way to expand that reach.
Okay. Okay. Last question. Give me one takeaway that my audience can use today.
I want to go back to what you said earlier about the handwritten notes and being someone that actually received only 3 of them out of the amount of people that I've networked in the past 2 years. I still remember who sent it to me, and it's still top of mind. And it's something that like even I want to do now and I forgot about to do. So that's what I would say what my one piece of advice is, but also yours moving forward. It's a great tactic.
Okay, it's true, but it is so powerful. And as many people as I coach, as many workshops as I do where I tell them to do this, nobody does it outside the people that I coach, of course. But it becomes so powerful and you remain top of mind. So that's why it's so important. Erica, so if anybody wants to get hold of you and enlist your services, how would they do it?
You can reach me on LinkedIn. My last name is a little bit tough, but it's spelled Giuggio. I'm a phone person. I am a millennial, but I promise I will pick up the phone. You can call me at 416-605-0193, or you can just shoot me an email at erikagiuggio at schooleymitchell.com.
Perfect. That's perfect. Erica, I want to thank you so much for coming on. You have it. You know what you have to do. You're doing it and you're showing results from it. So if anybody wants to take note and talk to Erica, please contact her and ask her how she's doing it or hire her as a coach. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Michael.
You're welcome. Well, that's a wrap, folks. A huge thank you to our special guest for sharing such incredible insights today. And of course, a big shout out to you, our amazing listeners, for tuning in and spending your time with us. Remember, networking isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. So take what you've learned today, get out there, and make some meaningful connections. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little networking inspiration. Let's keep the conversation going. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or my website, michaelaforman.com. Remember, until next time, keep practicing, keep connecting, and keep building those relationships. This is Michael A. Forman signing off. Take care and happy networking.